Okay, so that is what it is. Just a small example, I was just comparing it with this word, that there is enough for everybody's need and not for anybody's greed. We can't be greedy. He placed the greedy and the selfish individuals and exploited nature and the exploitative nature of modern technology as the root cause for resource depletion at the global level. He was against mass production and wanted to replace it with production by the masses. Mass production. Mass production, huge, make huge amounts and use it and give it. But again, he wanted to replace it with the production by the masses. The people have to produce, people have to make out of it. Okay. So it's like that. Here the road is to be built. Okay, resource is coming. What is the money resource coming? Okay. The contractor goes and signs the bill. Okay, 5 lakhs. He pays 50,000 to this officer, 50,000 to that officer. 1 lakh 50,000 goes 3 lakh 50 in his pocket. Another 50,000 he distributes between his laborers, other co-workers and everything. Road after 15 days, one hole. Then another hole. Next week, someone falls in that hole, gets hurt. One bandage, okay. Third day, another person goes, falls in the night, he breaks 2 bones. He doesn't care. Exploitation. Technology exploited. Where he could have done a good job and earned 10,000 rupees in a perfect way. Exploited. Misusing our everything. Misusing the freedom. Everything is being misused. He was doing it for a mass thing. He was not doing it by the masses. He was not doing it for the people. At the international level, the Club of Rome advocated resources conservation for the first time in a mere systematic way in 1968. Subsequently, in 1974, Gandhian philosophy was once again presented by Schumacher in his book Small is Beautiful. The seminal contribution with respect to resource conservation at the global level was made by the Brundtland Commission Report 1987. This report introduced the concept of sustainable development and advocated it as means a resource conservation, which was subsequently published in a book entitled Our Common Future. Another significant contribution was made at the Earth Summit at Rio de Janeiro and Brazil, 1992. So a sustainable development, I have told you a part of it. Now what are the land resources? We'll come to the land resources and the utilization, and I'll keep it till there today. And after that, we'll go to, we have the soil, classification of soils, right? So I'll read till here today, till the land utilization, and we'll after that. Land resources we'll do till today. After that, we'll take it from there. We live on land. We perform our economic activities on land and we use it in different ways. Thus, land is a natural resource of utmost importance in our life, in the ecological system. It supports natural vegetation, wildlife, human life, economic activities, transport, communication system. However, land is an asset of a finite magnitude. Therefore, it is important to use the available land for various purposes with careful planning. If you go to the land office or the SDO office, or what you call the RT, not the RT office, the SDO office, you will see the land papers. There is wetland, there is lake land, there is pond land, there is agricultural land, there is domestic land, there is commercial land. If anyone wants to come and build a factory next to the school, any factory. It's not possible. He cannot build. There is pollution thing is there. He has to go get many licenses. You just cannot build. In Bihar it might happen, but it cannot happen now. Separate land is used for separate things, as per its with various purposes. It can be used with careful planning. Now you cannot have a nursing home next to a iron factory. Can you have it? Yes, we can. A hospital is needed, but it has to have a relative distance. We just cannot have it there. India has land under the variety of relief features. What are the relief features we have? Mountains, plateaus, plains and islands. 43% of the land area is plain, which provides facilities for agriculture and industry. Only 43%. Mountains account 30%, that makes 63%. Of the total surface of the area of the country ensures perennial flow of some rivers, provide facilities for tourism and ecological aspects. About 27% of the area of the country is plateau region. It possesses rich reserves of mineral, fossils, fuels and forests. So we get the 100% there. 43 is plains. For agriculture, business, factories and all. Now the 27%, the 30%, which is the plateaus, it has the mountain rivers also, perennial rivers. So water is coming down to this 43%. And 27 is plateaus, all land of which is all have minerals and fossils and fuels and forests. So 43 is main. Out of that 43%, how much is for agriculture, we still don't know. We'll come to know. So you will know what is it all about. Then we have grazing land for animals to eat. We have forest, we have barren and unculturable wasteland. We cannot culture that land. And then we have areas under the non-agricultural uses, permanent pasture and grazing land, under miscellaneous trees and crops and groves. Then we have cultural wasteland, culturable, which we can culture it. Fallow other than current fallow. Then we have the current fallow and the net sown area. When we come to the net sown area, what is the actual the net sown area of that? We divided by what area we are having agriculture into the area, and we see what is coming out of it. Okay. So the land utilization takes us to a point where land resources are not used, where land resources are used for the following purposes. Forests. Land resources are used for the following purposes. Forests is there. Land not available for cultivation is barren and wasteland. Land put on non-agricultural uses, example building roads, factories and your railway routes. Other uncultivated land excluding fallow land. Okay. So that comes to it. I was just trying to give you one example I am trying to find. Well, I'll try and get it just now. 1 second. So land has got various. We just cannot go and build up something anywhere we want. Okay, so everything has its place. If we want, we cannot just go and build. But yes, for fallow land is can be called you have made you have left the ground, follow the ground for a week, you have kept on digging it and kept it ready for a week or so after digging, so you want to do your future agriculture there, just lie fallow. or you can say farmland plowed and harrowed, dug up, left for a period without being any sown is done, you have not done any agriculture on it or any cultivation, in order to restore its fertility or to avoid its surplus production, is called a fallow land. Okay, so that's about it. So that's fallow land, means you can do cultivation, but cultivation can be done, but right now it is not being done. It is ready for cultivation. Okay. Next class I'll come and explain the rest of it. Till then, take care of yourselves, be good and be happy. I just want to, I am closing this class down and I want to get it in a more elaborated way than this, and I'll explain it in a much more easier way for you to understand, so that when you hit your book, you will get all information from it. Okay. So see you guys. Take care of yourselves and see you in the next class. God bless, and do whatever you want after your studies.